Welcome into KC Sports Tonight, Wednesday, August 20th. Neal, I can't remember the last time you and I have done this show in studio. Typically, it's you and I out in St. Joe, but we're back, and we are 48 hours away from the Chiefs' final preseason game. I know, Neal, you were at the Chiefs' media availability today. Any top takeaways? What are you looking forward to? Kind of catch us up.
Well, this is their final preseason practice of the season.
Oh, they're off tomorrow.
And
Okay.
So it's Friday.
Yeah.
Saturdays, they'll meet and fly to wherever sometimes, but in this case they're playing a home game. So the bottom line is that I think that they are all ready to get into the regular season mode. I think that they do feel in hearing the players talk, I think they feel like they have something to prove after that really bad performance in Seattle, particularly on defense, where they gave it 477 yards, 6.7 yards per player, some unbelievable thing. It's just, look, it's preseason, and a lot of that game, you don't have the studs playing at all, Chris Jones. But Marleah, I get the impression that it's like the coaches are like, look, this is not who we are. We got to play better. Patrick Mahomes, did you mercifully didn't have to watch that terrible game, I'm guessing?
I was telling Gabe it felt like it kicked off at 4 a.m. with that 9 p.m. kick time, no starters really playing. That was a rough one.
Well, so the broadcast even kind of reflected that. They were putting Matt McMullen all over the stage. Hey, where's Matt? Where's Waldo? He's in the upper deck getting soaked.
Anything to not show the field right now because it's isn't pretty.
So it was interesting. You know, those games just don't mean very much.
Yeah.
When you've been in locker rooms and on the road on preseason games, when it's like that, you know, if somebody does something good, like Sky Moore did, it may, let's go interview Sky. That was a positive, and a couple of the guys. But the starters didn't play. But I do think that there is a sense that, look, we need to play well. Our starting offensive line, our quarterback, most of our wide receivers are going to be there. They don't know about Hollywood Brown, but he might even be able to play. Andy Reid said he's going to watch him during warm-ups and see how his foot is, because the last thing you want to do is lose a player in a meaningless preseason game when you
which
have
Hollywood did last year.
When you've got 17 regular season games. So but I do get the impression being out there today that the starters are like, look, we got to play. That's ridiculous. To give up that many yards, our defense was embarrassing. Our offense didn't look very good. Let's look better. And then hopefully the starters look good. And Marleah, the second half of this game will be like the second half of every preseason game. A bunch of guys playing who either won't be starting or won't even be on the team after cut down day next Tuesday.
Yeah, the reserves have had a tough time because even in that Arizona game, I mean, Patrick Mahomes played, 48 seconds? But then still most of the first-string guys were getting kind of late into the first quarter. I think they led 14-3 and then ended up losing and then just got smacked in Seattle with
who lost?
The was playing in game one.
Oh, you mean you pay attention to who wins and losses?
Yeah.
I almost don't even want to show the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Whenever I edit, whenever I anchor and it's on there, I go,
and
remember, this doesn't matter. The most important stat is the injuries. Unfortunately, they had some injuries last week, and you know, we are so excited about the potential of this offensive line being rebuilt. Jawan Taylor says he feels a lot better. His knee's a lot better. He got it fixed at right tackle. Maybe he'll be better. You feel like you got two guys who can play left tackle. We don't know about Kingsley at guard, but you've got a chance to be good, right? What happens if Simmons injures that knee?
We have a wood desk right here.
I mean, there's so many bad things that can happen. The scoreboard it doesn't matter at all.
Well, you saw what happened with Felix Anudike-Uzomah, who, you know, not the toughest blow for the defensive line because he was kind of falling in the rotation there, but a really tough blow for a guy going into his third year. Next year will be year number 4, and then the Chiefs have to decide about his fifth-year option. So, yikes. One more of these things to go. Neal, I think you're right. The storyline is get the starters out there for 15 seconds and then get them out of there and let's be healthy going into week one. One thing I do want to talk about is a week from yesterday. So 6 days from now, Chiefs are going to cut the roster from 88, where they're at right now, to 53. So this is actually a really big weekend for guys on the bubble and guys who know they're not making this roster but are hoping to land, you know, somewhere else in the league. Neal, are there any roster I know a lot of this roster seems pretty set, especially maybe this year compared to past, but any roster position battles you're watching in terms of guys debating getting on the 53?
Well, Carson's. So I don't get into this as closely as I might if I covered every practice, because we have days off, and I'm not at every practice. I don't know what people have done.
Media viewing window is so short once they get back at Arrowhead.
Yeah, here in Canton, you don't know.
Yeah.
Is Carson Steele a possible? Is he a possible cut? A year ago, they made the decision to keep a fullback. They had not had one for a while since Anthony Sherman had retired, and I was for it. And you hear the guys, some of the former players who do radio, recent players, were saying he's going to make the team. I think they like him. Coming out of the offseason, the OTAs after he was signed. But the reality is, I don't know. I don't know. Is he a guy that he's an automatic because he can play special teams and they need someone? I'm telling you, Marleah, when I watched him a couple of times where I zoomed in, and I only did it 2 days, and they were not in the same week.
This is at camp?
At camp.
Yeah.
He didn't block. And if you're a fullback and you can't block a linebacker, then you got a problem. Fullbacks got to be able to do that. Little running backs can sometimes get away with it because, well, we're not going to ask him to do that very much. Fullbacks, when you're in max protect, they got to be able to pick up their guy, and he got shoved back into the quarterback. He did not look very good. You can't judge someone on 2 practices, or in this case, 2 drills out of separate practices shot 1 week apart. One of the coaches told me, we meet every night. Every night, the entire coaching staff and all the executives, all the personnel people, we meet up there at training camp every night to discuss every single personnel group. And the guy says, okay, here are my 5 guys at this position. Here's how I got them ranked, blah, 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 blah. Here, or, so you don't know. I mean, if a guy plays well and they trust him, he may have the team made even if he doesn't have a good practice. But there are some guys who I think are playing for their football lives. Chiefs, with the Chiefs at least, because look, there are a lot of guys who are going to get cast off here who are going to catch on with other teams. But I think Sky Moore's a guy. He had those 2 drops. He's looked good at practice to me, but his problem has never been at practice. His problem's been in games, and he drops balls again. If he has 1 drop on Friday night, isn't that the death knell for him in Kansas City? Yeah. Yes, he had that great punt return, and it was impressive because he baited him with that little slick move, and then boom, in his speed and his athleticism, he followed great blocking. So maybe he can save his position on the Chiefs roster. But I think there are guys who have been on this team the last couple of years who might find themselves on the wrong side of the numbers.
And we will find out in, again, 6 days from now, that roster cut deadline. Neal, something that is more relevant than ever now is the Royals' playoff push. At the end of the day, they have a chance to...
Yeah, you kind of gave up on them, didn't you?
Mark did. I want to play that clip back now. Mark was doubtful. A lot of folks were doubtful for good reason because they were kind of hanging in that 4
When did they start winning?
5-game back.
They started winning when Katie got hired.
Yeah, that's
Katie,
true.
I thought she was bad luck. Maybe she's good luck.
I think you know what? This is bad news. I think they've lost every game she's been to, and she's there.
Well, then she's not covering
right
the playoffs.
Yeah.
Katie, sorry about that.
Katie. But at the end of the day, Royals have a chance to be 1.5 games back from a playoff spot. Granted, this has come a win streak against the White Sox and the Nationals. However, you have something to say.
I just thought of something.
Yeah.
You lost the Super Bowl.
Did I lose the Super Bowl?
We're looking for jinxes here.
Granted, I was at the winning Super Bowl too.
Which one?
The Vegas one.
Okay,
Yeah.
you were?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I sat. No, I didn't sit next to you. We were in different press boxes.
Yeah, I was working and you were eating
You and I
lobster thermidor.
We were partnered up all week. We were dragging the wagon across.
That was the year we worked together.
Yeah.
It was like we didn't though because we would get done. It would be raining or freezing cold, and you'd go, "I'm gonna go get some coffee."
I got you a hot tea that night.
And you left.
That day you're talking about. Oh, okay.
God. Was that the worst Super Bowl of all time in terms of
Vegas or
most disappointing? Not the game, but I'm so disappointed. I
thought
thought that was
like week up.
Yes.
Yeah. I liked the New Orleans week of better, but the game was terrible.
Yeah.
And then flipped in Vegas. You would think Vegas would be, and I'm of course in TV we're only talking about logistics, at least in my mind. Vegas.
Oh, we got thrown out. We got the first time we did something.
Go live in casinos.
They tried to throw you and I out. They were very nice. They did not
Yeah.
throw us out. They let you do your little live thing.
And then they threw us.
But do you remember we get there and we're like, did you have a coat? And I go, no. And you're like, I didn't bring a coat either. And then that next day, I'm coming out to go cover stuff to meet you in the lobby. And our morning crew, Andy Shearer, the photographer, he comes in. He looks like he's been on Mount Everest for like 4 hours. His hair is blowing crazy. His face is like chapped with wind, and it was freezing. He goes, do you have an extra coat? And I go, no. And he goes, I didn't bring enough. I go, none of us did. I thought it was going to be the desert. I didn't know it was going to be like this. It was terrible.
It was freezing. And then New Orleans was kind of the opposite, where I packed for kind of cooler weather because it's February and we were burning alive most of the time.
Not me, because I dressed properly.
Well, good for you. At least one of us learned a lesson after Las Vegas.
But, I mean, you know what, though? The fun of seeing that guy with the tuba or sousaphone or whatever they call it, coming up and shoving the bell of the horn into your camera, and the fact that I did not attack him, or curse, because we were on TV. I didn't cuss at him, and I didn't hit him. I had the presence of mind of boxing him out like I would somebody playing, and that was an unbelievable experience. And I had as many people talk about that as asked me about the game.
Did you really?
I really did. Absolutely. They didn't know you were the photographer. And I said, you know, if it had been a 300-pound photographer, I wouldn't have been as worried. But it's a young lady who did nothing to provoke this guy. Why is he doing that? So I have memories of that. Let's hope that the playoff run for the Royals will be a lot more fun.
Yeah, hopefully the first and last time you and I are attacked by a tuba.
Are you a believer yet on the Royals?
Yeah, I am. 1.5 games back. I'll put it with this asterisk, though. Well, I'll go pros and cons. Pros, Royals are playing the best baseball right now. I put the asterisk of they had the White Sox at home, they had the Nationals at home. However,
it's not the BCS.
Yeah, they're playing their best baseball right now, which is important. The interesting part is looking at the schedule down the back half here. You got 2 series against the Tigers. You have the Mariners. You have the Blue Jays. I mean, it's tough from here on out. So they've positioned themselves with the way they're playing and how close within striking distance they are. But it'll be interesting to see kind of how this shakes out. Where are you at, Neal?
Is Cole Reagans coming back?
I don't think so. Maybe. Who knows? I said that about Vinny Pasquantino last year, remember, with the thumb injury, and he ended up playing in the playoffs.
But he was not as effective.
That's true.
I think if they can get the kind of pitching that they got early in the year, and
Seth Lugo had a better showing yesterday.
Yep. And if they, but I thought Reagans might be available at the end of August. I thought they were talking about that he is pitching on the side a little bit, but it goes back to this: if they get superior pitching, which is what they've ridden to being even in the race, then I think they have a chance to go in and shock some people. Remember when the Dodgers came in? The Dodgers had the best record in baseball at that point. They were flying. And I started looking at the matchups of starting pitchers. And the Dodgers, their starting staff was in shambles, yes, but the Royals were significantly better in every game that they started. They were better even when they started Ohtani because he was only going to throw 1 inning. So the Royals pitching stacks up favorably when it's at its best with everybody. And so that to me is the key.
September return.
So to me, that's the key. If they can get their pitching in order and they can get superior pitching, I think they have a chance. If they don't, I think it's going to be real hard because I don't think that they don't have the mashers. I've loved the fact that some of the guys they've added, JJ brought in some guys and nobody was excited. They got no headlines, and yet Adam Frazier's been improved. He came back. He had a thumb problem last season here in Kansas City, but he looked better in Pittsburgh. Royals saw that. Royals talked to him. When they were playing that Pirates series, some of the guys talked to him, and he was swinging the bat better. They took a chance on him. He's made a difference. And then Yastrzemski, who's a solid professional.
Yeah.
He really is. He's like a 7 or 8 year guy who has had a really nice career. He's been I think he was so thrilled to get out of San Francisco that I think that he loved the opportunity of a new start, and he's been big for them. So if they get timely hitting and great pitching, I think they can play with anybody. But if they don't get the pitching, I think we're going to be talking about baseball ending earlier than we'd like.
Yeah, tonight, Noah Cameron taking them out. Neal, how impressed have you been by the St. Joe kid?
I think he's fabulous.
Yeah.
And it makes me mad to hear all the baseball experts, and I'm not arguing that they're not right, but it just frustrates me that the kid from Grain Valley who's ripping it up for the Brewers because he throws 102 miles an hour. He's getting all the publicity. I'm happy that a Kansas City area kid is getting publicity like that.
Yeah.
But Noah Cameron's been a very effective pitcher, and he's an old-fashioned pitcher. He has great command. He throws the ball where he wants to throw it. He changes speeds. He's consistent. He has a bad inning, and he doesn't freak out. He gives up 4 runs. Oh, he's done. No, he settles himself down. He's 25 years old. He's not 19, okay? He's a veteran guy who's been around, had a lot of starts, I think 75 starts in the minors, and he has been a fabulous story. And if he wins Game 7, there ought to be a movie about it because he's really shocked everybody. But he gets no love because he doesn't blow people away. He just pitches the old-fashioned way. He makes people miss.
Let's end the show with
we got to talk college football.
Exactly, that's where we're going.
How do you bet? How are you? I know you bet on all these games. How do you feel about the two local schools for their opening games?
I've never placed a sports bet in my life, and I plan to keep it that way because you got Fresno State at KU this weekend, and then a really bizarre / important game with Iowa State and K-State in Ireland. Top 25 Big 12 showdown. Neal, this is potentially I don't want to say Big 12 championship, but it could knock one of these teams out. How do you feel about that game being in one of your dear places of Ireland?
I've actually been to that stadium.
Oh, that stadium.
There was not a game, but we went over there because we were staying out there. It's not in the middle of town. It's on the outskirts of town. It's like the Gardner Edgerton of Dublin. Okay, it's on the edge of town, not that far away, but it's not right there. And we were staying over there, and so we walked by and took a look at it from the outside in. It's a modern stadium. I think the fans are probably having a great time. I've been watching social media and stuff, and I remain angered that you did not send me. I don't understand that because I think I would have been really good.
We'll take the bus next time.
Yeah. But the fact is, I think it's an exciting thing for the schools. It's a home game for K-State. I want you to think about that.
I see where it literally is on the schedule. Yeah.
They gave up. That game would have been
in Manhattan.
In Manhattan the last week of the season. And this is a team that Kansas State's had trouble beating. They got beat up there in a fairly tight game, and they got beat in a snowstorm when
we just talked about that on this show because I will never forget that video that you shot. It was like, because you shot that video, right, of the K-State Iowa State game. I mean, it was just fluff. Like, it looked artificial how snowy it was that night.
So I was so cold. At halftime, I was sending highlights back, and I went into the place where the only place we have access to warmth, which is the visiting team's press conference room, which is part of their locker room. So I went in there, and I am trying to get my hands warm enough to hook up a cable into the side of my camera, and I can't get my fingers to work. And I'm in there, and I'm blowing on them and all this stuff, and these two coaches come in from Iowa State, and they're like, media can't be in here. I go, no, you can't be in here. This is a media room, and I'm freezing, so I'm in here. Yeah. I don't care about what you guys are doing, but I'm staying in. And they went, oh, okay. And then finally one guy sees what I'm doing. He goes, do you need help? And he came up because he's in
nice.
And he hooked up my thing, and then I was able to send the stuff back. That's how cold I was that I was yelling at the visiting coaches that they were in their locker room. But that was the quarterback, Will Howard. That was Will Howard. In that senior class, that was their last game.
Yeah.
And so that was hard to take. Cooper Beebe's last game, a lot of great players. That was their last game.
Oh, senior night, yeah.
And so it was really hard for me. That was kind of why I went over there, was for senior night, and I was, what a terrible way to end it, with a tough performance, and Iowa State played well. Matt Campbell's a great coach, and he has given K-State fits since he took over at Iowa State. So that worries me because I think K-State has got a chance. On paper, they could have one loss this year. I expect them to be in the college football playoff. I expect it. I think they're that good. They need Avery Johnson to stay healthy, their quarterback. But if they can, their offensive line has been retooled, but the offensive line traditionally is a strength of the team, and they've got guys coming in. So it's not like they don't have talent. They just have unproven talent. So it would be nice to ease into this and play Iowa State later in the year. Instead, they're going to have to do this week 1, and it's on the road or on a neutral site. But I do think it's going to be exciting. It's going to be on national television with ESPN, all 50 states. And that's a game, Marleah, I will want to watch. Even though I'm covering the KU game later that evening, that Iowa State game, K-State Iowa State game, I'm going to watch it. What about you? You're off that day. Are you going to watch? Which game are you going to watch?
I'm going to be parked on my couch watching every game on Saturday. I'm very much looking forward to it. I have a knitting project I'm working on.
Sure you do.
Yeah, so that's
sure
my
you
agenda.
Do. Yeah, sure you
You,
do.
however, will be working at the new stadium, Neal, with Katie Marr will be joining you as well for the Fresno State KU game. You've seen the stadium, right? Have you seen it done? I know you've seen it when it was close to being finished.
I did. I haven't been in it, but it was done, all but done when I was over there the last time.
Yeah.
Then they opened it the next day.
Okay. Thoughts on that Fresno State game coming up? They announced today it's a sellout. You have a non-Power 5 team coming in Fresno State of the very tough and talented Mountain West Conference.
Really good academics in the Mountain West. They're like the Harvard of the hookworm belt.
So I've heard. I played the Mountain West. But Neal, your thoughts on this KU Fresno State game coming up?
Fresno State scares me to death.
Yep. Especially their quarterback.
They got 50-something players through the transfer because they have new coaching staff. And they brought in all new players. And nobody knows how they're going to gel. Are they going to shock people like Arizona State shocked everybody last year? Or are they going to not be very good week one because they have a new offensive system with new players? It's kind of frightening in that regard. On paper, KU should have the advantage. They're playing at home. They've got a quarterback in Jalen Daniels who's a 6-year player. He's on paper their best player. But we saw what happened last year. They did not come out of the gate on fire with Jalen Daniels in that offense. They were integrating a new offensive coordinator. Well, they have a new offensive coordinator this year too. So there are some question marks, but I think Kansas should win. I think they're going to get a big jolt. I wish they were playing a bad school. I'm not for playing bad schools, Marleah, but if you're going to play one, week one is a good time to play a lesser school. And I don't know that we could say that about Fresno State. I mean, Fresno State over the years has had some pretty good football teams, and they've turned out quite a few NFL players.
Didn't Nico Remigio go to Fresno State?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And I can name. Well, didn't they have the number one of the top quarterbacks taken in the draft over the years? So they've had guys, but that was with the coach who had been there for a long time, and so it's just I think they came in and beat Kansas State when they played Bill Snyder. If I'm not mistaken, years ago. So Fresno State scares me a little bit. I cannot wait to see the excitement with the fan base. I'm going to be doing a story on the new stadium. The days of going and staying for a quarter and then scooting over to the wheel to drink beer with your buddies, I think they're over. I think that this coach and this stadium and this talent they have combined to make this the place to be in Lawrence.
Last topic of the day, as we're kind of running out of time here, Eli Drinkwitz announcing today they're going to go into week one having not named a quote-unquote starting quarterback. Obviously, one of them has to start, but he's going.
Isn't he going to name it tomorrow?
He said today he wasn't going to name one, and they were going to kind of see how the first game goes.
Yesterday he said they were going to. Well, you know what? I think that's smart. Don't you think that's smart?
I think I saw something on one of the social media sites that was like, if you don't have one quarterback, you have zero. If you kind of split time, I don't know how that goes.
That's the NFL.
We saw kind of work with K-State with the split they did between Will Howard and Avery Johnson.
Right.
When they have kind of a run guy and a pass guy. You seem to be pro to be two QB system.
Because for this reason, one, neither of these guys played for Missouri last year. You got the Penn State kid at Penn State who, when he came in, was a run-first guy, but they believe can execute the passing game. And then you got a guy who they think can really throw the football, but he's coming off Tommy John surgery, right? But he's at least been in the system and he knows the players, right? He's been around, lived in the dorm, the whole thing. But why not avail yourself and see how they do? And maybe they'll separate themselves in real game action. I hate naming a starter. He's our starter, and then he's not good. And now you got to bring the other guy off the bench, and it's like, well, who's
in my mind when you say that?
When you played, it was fluid, right? Whoever had the hot hand played.
Yeah.
When you were playing well, you were in, and when the other people were playing well, they came in. I'm not afraid of competition. The NFL's different, but at the college level, let's see what happens, right? And they open against Central Arkansas, a perfect team to play. You're going to win. So play the guys and see what they do.
Yeah.
And you know what? Brady Cook went through this, right? He was,
Yeah.
in fact, it was with the guy who's there now. They were head-to-head, and Brady Cook won it. And it ended up being okay. They won 12 games that year, I believe. So the point, I think it was 12, whatever. The point is, you shouldn't be afraid of competition. Everybody competes. What's wrong with quarterbacks competing?
Yeah, I see it. Part of me is surprised that no one separated themselves in camp, but
It's camp.
yeah.
It's about like what we're seeing. It's
Oh, yeah.
at training. I mean, do you really want to pick a quarterback based on what we saw at Chiefs
Yeah,
practices?
that's a good point. That is a good point because we saw a whole lot of nothing, especially with those guys wearing yellow jerseys. But
Well, I'm going to go back to my original question, which is who are you betting on? Who are you picking? So who are you picking? I'm going to.
Okay.
Who are you picking for? What's the spread? Isn't it 13 on KU?
is it? I haven't seen them, but let's pretend it is.
Well, that's what the editors were saying, and they
Okay.
always know.
If the spread is 13, I'll go the under on that. I think it'll be a close game. I think KU will win, but I think a 2-touchdown win is optimistic.
I agree with you, but I hope we're wrong.
I agree. Okay, what's the spread for the K-State game? Do you know?
I don't
I bet
know.
it's like 1. Let's find out.
I think it's 3 pints and a quart of Guinness.
Okay, it is 3. K-State favored to win.
I'll go with that.
no.
I think K-State's for real.
Yeah.
I think Iowa State's going to be a good team, but K-State is better. And let me ask you, have you ever had a Smithwick's or a Guinness?
No and no. Maybe while I'm knitting on my couch Saturday morning, I guess. Okay, that'll do it for us here on KC Sports Tonight. Thanks folks for watching, and we'll see you back here same time, same place tomorrow.